Imagine this. You board a floating palace 14 decks high, 5-star meals, and thousands of people laughing beneath the moonlight. You're surrounded by security cameras, staff, and luxury. And then, you disappear. No screams, no signs, just silence. And the ship sails on. Dear watchers, tonight we open the file on 7 real people who vanished from cruise ships without a trace. They were never found. No bodies, no answers, just questions. And cold water. How do you vanish? From a ship that never sleeps. Welcome to the Dark Files. Cruise ships, billion-dollar giants drifting across oceans, sold to us as floating paradises. But beneath the champagne toasts and poolside parties, something darker lurks. Since the year 2000, over 200 people have vanished from cruise ships. Gone. Without explanation. Without closure. Some fell overboard. Others never made it to breakfast. In several cases, there was blood. And in almost every story, surveillance footage was missing. Stories didn't match. And authorities were miles away, if they ever came at all. How do you disappear on a ship with thousands of people, cameras, and crew? Who's responsible and who's covering it up? Tonight, we're not just telling stories. We're opening the case files, the ones they want forgotten. A life interrupted. A mystery with no ending. Dear watchers, stay close. Because the deeper we go, the less sense anything makes. And when you see the final case, you may start to question if the ocean is hiding something more than we ever imagined. Let's begin with the story of a young woman working aboard the happiest ship on Earth, who vanished and left a trail colder than the Atlantic itself. This is the case of Rebecca Corium, the Disney disappearance. Rebecca Corium was 24, a bright athletic student from Chester, England. She loved adventure, helping people, and dreamed of making children smile. So when she got a job working for Disney Cruise Line aboard the Disney Wonder, it felt like fate. She called home often, laughed with guests, took pictures on deck wearing oversized gloves and Mickey ears. But on March 2011, everything changed. Rebecca made a call. She sounded upset. Then, she was gone. At 5:45 a.m. CCTV captures Rebecca pacing a crew hallway. She's wearing men's clothes. She's holding a phone. She seems distressed. That's the last time she was seen. The ship, sailing off the coast of Mexico, continues its journey. Rebecca doesn't show up for work. The crew makes an announcement. Searches begin. But oddly, not immediately. Here's where things turn cold. Disney didn't notify her family for over 12 hours. The Mexican authorities did a one-day investigation without interviewing staff. The Royal Bahamas Police responsible for the ship's jurisdiction sent one officer for a few hours, and the CCTV footage, only one clip was released. Rebecca's flip-flops were found by the pool, but she wasn't known to swim. The weather was calm. There was no splash, no alarm, no mayday, and somehow, no one saw her fall. The phone call Rebecca made before vanishing? Disney claimed it was a personal matter. But family insiders say it wasn't just a call. Some believe Rebecca was being stalked or harassed by someone on board. Others believe she uncovered something she wasn't supposed to see. Was it an accident, suicide, or something darker? To this day, her body was never recovered, and the footage ends with her walking away from the camera. Toward what or who we'll never know. A young woman alone. A company with smiles painted on. A mystery sealed tighter than the vault at Magic Kingdom. But Rebecca wasn't the first to disappear, And she wasn't the last, because just months later, on a different ship, a groom on his honeymoon would vanish from a balcony. In a case soaked in blood, secrets, and betrayal, George Smith, 4, 26 years old, recently married, wealthy, handsome, charming. He had it all. In 2005, George and his new bride Jennifer set sail on the Brilliance of the Seas, a Royal Caribbean cruise bound for Turkey, Greece, and Italy. It was supposed to be their honeymoon. It became an open grave. They drank, danced, partied with new friends. They were happy until the night of July 5th. George never woke up. That night, George and Jennifer were seen at the casino, drinking heavily. Later, they're spotted with 3 young men in their 20s, all drinking, loud, aggressive. Crew members say one of them got too close to Jennifer. Around 4:00 a.m., passengers report hearing shouting and a loud thud from the couple's cabin. By sunrise, George was gone. There was blood, a lot of it, on the balcony, on the lifeboat canopy, on the railing. But no, George. Jennifer says she blacked out that night and woke up in a hallway. The men seen with George? They claimed they left him safely in his room. Their stories changed multiple times. The blood trail was never explained. George's body was never found. And the cruise line? They cleaned the scene before investigators arrived. Worse, Royal Caribbean offered Jennifer a settlement almost immediately, before the case even began. A year later, an anonymous video was sent to George's family. It shows the same 3 men on the cruise hours after George vanished, making sick jokes about someone going overboard. But the FBI never charged anyone. Some believe George was pushed during a drunken robbery. Others whisper darker theories involving organized crime. What's certain? A man vanished, and the ship kept moving, and the blood washed away with the tide. One thing links Rebecca and George: silence. And another mystery is about to unfold, one that will disturb even seasoned investigators. Because in the next case, a crew member, a bartender, disappears between security checkpoints. And when they searched his cabin, what they found was even stranger than his absence. Dear watchers, the sea doesn't give back what it takes. Angelo Faliva, 31 years old, an Italian bartender working aboard the Coral Princess, a luxury cruise liner operated by Princess Cruises. By all accounts, he was cheerful, friendly, known for his sharp tuxedo and easy laugh. He worked hard, called home often, and was excited for his future. In late November 2009, the Coral Princess was sailing from Aruba to Colombia. Angelo was scheduled to serve at the ship's restaurant that evening. He never showed up, and no one saw him leave the ship. At 8:30 p.m., Angelo was last seen talking with a passenger. He waved, smiling, and walked into the staff-only hallway. That was the last confirmed sighting. Around 9:15 p.m., his co-workers noticed he hadn't reported to his station. Calls were made. Checks began. By 10:00 p.m., panic. Angelo's cabin door was wide open. His belongings were untouched. His shoes, ID card, wallet, still there. And the security logs? No exit, no overboard alert, nothing. Princess Cruises told the family they had no footage of Angelo falling or walking off the ship. But here's the problem. The Coral Princess has hundreds of surveillance cameras. His father asked, "How can you lose a man on a floating hotel with 2 zero eyes?" The response? Technical errors, no camera coverage in that hallway. A convenient blind spot in a crew-only zone. The Colombian and Panamanian authorities refused to investigate. Italy was denied access. The case declared unresolved and closed. A fellow crew member later confessed that Angelo had seen something that upset him deeply. He had been arguing with officers. Days before his disappearance, he told his sister, "There are things happening on this ship I don't like." What kind of things? Trafficking, corruption, something worse? We'll never know because his personal logs vanished. His phone records? Erased. His cabin? Cleaned the same night. And here's the most chilling part. A crew member claimed to have seen Angelo 2 days after he vanished in the engine room, smiling, then gone. Was it a ghost? A lie? Or a secret locked below deck? Narrator faint echo, subtle static. Rebecca, George, Angelo, victims of the ocean, or of something hiding within the steel walls of these floating cities? Because the next case is different. There were no missing crew, no romantic scandals. Just one problem. There were more people on board than were ever recorded. A luxury cruise that returned to port with more names than it left with. Dear watchers, the next mystery isn't about who vanished. It's about who was never supposed to be there in the first place.
Case 4. The Ghost Passenger. A manifest that lied. You count the living, but sometimes the dead still count themselves. In 2013, the Ocean Sapphire, a mid-sized European cruise liner, embarked from Barcelona on a 12-day voyage through the Mediterranean. Aboard, 479 passengers, mostly retirees, honeymooners, and tourists from the UK, Germany, and France. The manifest was routine. Every name accounted for, or so they thought, until the ship docked in Venice, and something didn't add up. During standard post-voyage checks, the disembarkation logs showed 480 passenger scans. But the departure list? Still 479. Someone came aboard without ever being added to the system. Crew assumed a data entry glitch, a simple miscount. But when they reviewed security footage, there it was. A tall figure, male, mid-40s, seen entering on day 3 in Marseille. He appears in background shots blurred, distant, but always alone. No one ever interacts with him, and no one remembers seeing him disembark. Authorities launched a formal investigation. They combed through ticket data, facial recognition, scanned IDs. That man, no records, no credit card activity, no passport logs, no room assignment. And here's the eerie part. He was captured only in reflections, through windows, mirrors, water. Every direct camera shot either glitched or showed nothing at all. Passengers began reporting knocking sounds at their doors at 2:46 a.m., exactly the time he boarded. Some even claimed their room safes opened and nothing was missing. But when a ship-wide photo sweep was conducted, every group photo had one figure too many. An online cruise enthusiast posted the blurred photo to a niche travel forum. A historian recognized the uniform. It matched an officer from the SS Lutetia, a luxury ship that sank during WWI off the coast of Marseille. And the face? A near-perfect match for a man named Léon Marchand, the Lutetia's navigation officer, declared lost at sea in 1942. Was it a prank? A software glitch? Or a ghost passenger boarding every time a ship crosses the coordinates where he died? After this, Ocean Sapphire changed its route permanently. They no longer stop in Marseille. Some passengers go missing. Others were never really alive to begin with. But what happens when technology becomes the witness? On board the Riviera Majesty, an elevator descends. A woman enters. Cameras show her pressing the button. Doors close. She never comes out. Dear watchers, the next case is not just unexplained. It was recorded and still makes no sense. It was a regular day aboard the Riviera Majesty, a sleek, modern cruise ship with all the latest amenities, sailing from Miami to the Bahamas. Passengers were soaking in the sun, enjoying the entertainment, and navigating the ship's many decks via its elevator system. Among them was Carla Morel, a 29-year-old tourist. A solo traveler, she'd boarded for some peace and quiet. She'd been in good spirits, talking to fellow guests, taking pictures, and simply enjoying her holiday. On the fourth evening, at 11:03 p.m., Carla entered the ship's main elevator on the 7th deck. The goal? To reach the observation deck on the 10th. The last moments she was seen alive were recorded clear as day, but then, nothing. Security footage shows Carla entering the elevator. She presses the button for the 10th floor, and the door closes. The elevator begins its ascent. At least, that's what the camera shows. But here's where things take a turn. The floor indicator shows the elevator rising smoothly. 8th floor, 9th floor, and then no 10th floor. At 11:06 p.m., the elevator stops, and the doors do not open. It just sits there, silent, no sound, no movement. But here's the thing. The elevator was still functioning perfectly. The light was on, the buttons were illuminated, the elevator was still online. Crew went to check after receiving the alert. But when they opened the door, Carla was gone. There was no sign of struggle, no indication that she had exited before the door shut. The elevator was stuck between the 9th and 10th floors, and Carla wasn't inside anymore. The first response from security was confusion. The footage was intact, but no one could explain why the elevator stopped. Crew reports claim that the elevator had been behaving oddly that night. Frequent delays, unexplained stops. But no one thought anything of it. The investigation grew stranger when Carla's last phone call was uncovered a brief 30-second conversation with her best friend. Only minutes before she entered the elevator. The phone had pinged near the 10th deck, but after that, nothing. Her phone was later found in the ship's lost. And found, but the connection to her presence was lost. Even more unnerving, a nearby security camera captured an empty hallway on the 9th floor. There's no trace of Carla passing through, yet the elevator's digital system logged a stop there. So, what happened in that elevator? Was it malfunctioning, or was it something worse? After an exhaustive search, no evidence of Carla was found anywhere on the ship. Her luggage remained untouched in her cabin, and no signs of foul play were discovered. Then a strange detail came to light. A retired engineer who had once worked for the cruise line sent an anonymous letter to the family, claiming that the Riviera Majesty had experienced a series of unexplained incidents similar to this one. The engineer alleged that, in some rare cases, the ship's elevator system had been unreliable reports of ghostly passengers that appeared in the systems, but whose identities could not be traced. Passengers who seemingly vanished into thin air after entering the elevators. A glitch in reality? Or something that's been hiding aboard ships for years? Is it possible Carla simply disappeared from one plane of existence to another? The elevator, the missing passengers, they all point to something larger, something older. Maybe it's not just the ships that are haunted. Maybe it's the ocean itself. The deep sea has secrets we don't even know how to ask about. But the next case is a discovery that will change everything. Something found below, but not meant for us to find. Dear watchers, the next case is the final piece of the puzzle. A dark treasure hidden for centuries. But its discovery, it doesn't come without a price. Conclusion. The dark sea holds more than we know. We can't keep pretending these disappearances are just accidents, glitches, or miscounts. Every case we've explored, from the vanished passengers to the ghostly figures aboard these ships, leaves us with more questions than answers. What are we really dealing with here? Is it a technological glitch, or is it something far older and darker, lurking in the depths? We've seen ships move through the ocean like nothing more than floating cities. But they cross through waters that have been known to swallow people whole, to erase their very existence. These mysteries aren't just coincidences. They're a pattern, one that goes deeper than we might care to understand. Is the ocean alive? Or is it a place where something ancient, something far beyond our control watches over us? And if it is, what does it want from us? Why are we disappearing without a trace? Perhaps there are some things we were never meant to know. And yet, we will keep searching, keep sailing, keep asking the impossible questions. But dear watchers, remember this. Some stories don't end with the truth. They end with the silence that follows the storm. And maybe, just maybe, they end with you wondering if you're the next name on a manifest that should never have existed. If you want to keep uncovering the dark mysteries of the deep, make sure you watch our other videos. Each case brings us one step closer to revealing what the ocean is hiding. What's waiting for those brave enough to look? But be warned, once you dive into the dark files, you may never see the world the same way again. Don't just subscribe. Stay with us. Watch, learn, and wait for what's next. Watch our video on Deep Sea. We'll be right here in the dark.